But this is
Segue.
this is our segue where we roll dice now to rather than summarizing random TV shows that we've watched, we'll now summarize the movie that is in the title of this episode. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Pointless Discourse with myself, Hoppocalypse, and Payne.
Happy holidays. That's the only line I know.
Nice. Just like the movie.
Yeah, it is Christmas in like 2 days.
When this releases.
Yes, not when we're recording.
We're not that last minute. We've gotten better.
That might have been like the early episodes of the podcast.
We have to record now or else.
Yeah, it was a very stressful time. I'm glad we grew as people and schedulers since then.
And did not choose to watch 2 movies a week.
We're never gonna let that down.
No. But you live and you learn.
Yeah. So now we're done. Well, no. I was like, oh, we could announce the next series, which we kind of already hinted at, but it's like, you guys will learn about it next week.
Oh yeah, we do have one more episode to end out the year before we kick off the next full series. So we'll have to. We didn't really promote that episode as much as we've been promoting the next series, but yeah, it is a lot less planning.
Yeah, we pretty much planned it like as much as we can together, and besides being toxic towards each other.
What good are we if we don't light fires under each other's butts?
Yep. And then it's just one of these days, I'm just going to get I'm going to get an email. Hi. Do you know Miss Hoppocalypse? You've come up multiple times in our sessions. What? What did I do? You know what? Speaking about being toxic together, if the girlfriend listens to this episode, she'll get a kick about it because we were just talking about it at the time of recording. There's this... So... This Saturday, we were playing some board games with some friends, but we had some time, and we wanted to watch a TV show while we waited. And we wanted to, have you ever watched any episodes of The Running Man, the Korean show?
No.
It is a very fun show. It's like pretty much a bunch of actors and entertainers where they just kind of get together and they do like all these kind of like different challenge things where some of them they kind of take them to like a town in Korea and they have to like, and they'll take like other celebrities or musicians and stuff and have to like kind of complete like a scavenger hunt or something.
I might have seen this. A Korean restaurant I still go to the Korean restaurant, but on their TV I think they used to air this, but I think they stopped whatever old subscription they had, because this was like pre-Netflix days, pre-like streaming service days. So they probably had like, I know there's a Filipino like global television network. I assume they had access to a Korean one. I think they stopped paying for it because the last time I ate there in person, they clearly just had like compilation of Korean food being cooked on the TV. But there was people there that were sitting next to us that had never been there, and they're like, that pizza on the TV looks great, is it on the menu? And I was like,
no. No, I mean, yeah, so I know they have like a Filipino version of Running Man. Like it's like a game show I think that started in South Korea, and there's like a Japan version, I think there's a Chinese version, there's a Filipino version, I think there's they each kind of like
their own set of celebrities. Yeah.
But it's, I think, well, just with the explosion of Korean culture in the US over the past couple years, I think that's the one that's been gaining a lot of attention here. Because I remember it just randomly showed up on YouTube. So we originally going to watch something like that. Like, and another example is like they'll do like hide and seek and all this stuff. And their older ones, they had challenges where they had their name tags on the back, and so it's like they had to do something, and like you were trying to get the different people eliminated and all that stuff. But then if you were able to rip their name tag off, like it eliminated him from the game and stuff. It's pretty fun watching their clips on YouTube. Like it's like
they're like, if they're already entertainers, so they know how to play to the camera, but then you put them in situations and they're like, well, this isn't a script. Okay.
If I had like money, I would love to do this for like Twitch. Like to do it for like a charity palooza or something like that, where it's just like a weekend where we rent out like a location, we have a production crew, and like we're gonna do this and like raise money like for the charity and all that stuff. It's one of those things like, man, if I was able to do like
big
if
scale,
money, I'm like, that's something I would love to do. There's another like Japanese like show that I watched that it's just or I've watched clips of it where they do something for like, it's a 24-hour like live show of comedians, a little bit different, but anyway, we originally wanted to watch Running Man and we couldn't find it. We tried to watch a different show that I'm blanking on, and it's like, yeah, here it is, and they're like, it's on Prime. And then it took us to some other show, and it's like, what the heck is this? So her sister, my girlfriend's sister, told us the show on Thanksgiving, like, hey, you should watch this. And we're both like, we don't want to watch this. Let me see. I think I wrote the name of the show here. It was called... Where'd it go? See You Again. That's the American translation. So, in short, this show is this. It's in the 4th season. It's this Chinese, kind of like a reality TV show, where they take 3 couples that are on the verge of divorcing.
Oh.
And we're like, this. They're like, here's our last chance.
Oh.
And yes, yeah. So you could see why we like. I don't know if we really want to spend the. It was very entertaining.
Oh, you did watch it.
Oh yeah, we did watch it, and I will fully admit I am invested.
Okay, so it was the way it was sold to you. You were like, I don't think this is for me, and then you started it, and you went, this is for me.
We both were like, I don't know, but it's like, for me, the way I'm watching it is because it activated my like psychology training, my like very minimal psychology training, and I'm like, oh, she. Like, we both, like, agreed this one couple, like, because when we the first one's introduced, and she's just, like, immediately arguing with him. And it's just yelling at him, everything. And I'm sitting there watching it, and, like, he's just taking it. Just like, okay, whatever. And it's just like, oh, my goodness. But then I'm like... But then, like, their first challenge was they had to do this, like, I think, like, 50 questionnaire that they had to fill out. About themselves, and then they took it to, and then they put them both in the room, and then ask the questions, and they have to answer to see if they can get the other person's answers to see how much they knew.
Yeah.
And as this one couple was talking, we're both like, no. The way it started off, it made it sound like she was done, she was out. And it's like, no, she wants this relationship to work. And it sounds like he does as well, because he's like, I don't want to be on this show because the history of it doesn't look good for men. Here's another...
Like the editing?
Yes. And he's like, I don't really want to be on here, but we're here.
If this is our last resort, then we're gonna... Yeah.
But the other thing is, this is a fun side note, that this is the 4th season. Every season beforehand... every couple divorced after the show.
Well, they're trying to be the first. First to make it.
Yeah. So it's just like, we're introduced to that, but I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I think they both want this to work, but the big problem is the man is so passive. And it's like, and like about almost everything, like of letting his thoughts be known to even like getting things done. Like his wife has to like get up and do everything. And it was like, I said that, and it was literally like a minute later, she said exactly what I said. I'm like, oh, I'm like, this is fun. And then they had this other couple that was like married for like 17 years. And then like you learn it. I'm like, this is like what you see on like like a fictionary drama where it's like she never wanted to marry him, but it sounded like she was coerced into it because he was her manager.
The grooming. Eek.
But well, she wasn't she wasn't like underage. Like but it was like
but power dynamic.
Yes.
Okay.
But like she's actually she's pretty famous. Like you probably wouldn't know her name, but you would probably recognize the actress because she is the main actress in Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh. That's wild. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know that. And so like I was looking at her and she's like, my girlfriend's like, do you recognize her? I'm like, no, but she looks familiar. And then she said that. I looked it up. I'm like, well, and then me being who I am, I brought up like the landlord lady. I was like, that's her? And he's like, no. But and I'm like, oh yeah. And so then we're like, and I'm just watching that and I'm like, I feel like there's definitely like the I'm gonna stop here because I'm gonna go all into it because I'm like psychoanalyzing this, and I only watched half of the first episode, and like I was just messaging my girlfriend. I was like, so when are we gonna watch the second half? She's like, oh, you actually liked it? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and so it reminded me of those like little like relationship videos where it's like when your girlfriend's TV show is actually really good and it's always the guy like, and then it's just like slowly he's like
yelling
invested.
about the couples.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I haven't been in a relationship long enough to get to that point. I'm like, I don't care. I don't watch enough TV as it is.
Yeah. My foreign TV that I've been watching lately is Culinary Class Wars.
Okay.
That one's
I don't know what that is. Yeah.
That's at least on Netflix. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but it's a South Korean show where, a lot of South Korean media deals a lot with like classism because like we've watched Parasite, we've watched Train to Busan deals with it a little bit, but yeah. And then Squid Games is also a big one about classism and like poverty and richness. But
I thought they just played games.
Yeah, that's why
I never watched
it. But I'm sure you knew what the premise was.
Yeah.
That's why the Americans decided to make a game show out of it. And
I don't know.
Anyway.
Go ahead.
Moving on. Capitalist country doesn't understand
how to miss a point 101.
Good old America. But so in Culinary Class Wars, they set it up where they told the guests it was going to be 100 chefs in a cooking show. What they didn't tell them is that 80 of them are on one team and 20 of them are on a different team. The 80 on one team are labeled as black spoons, and they're all given like black uniforms, and they're told, hey guys, guess what? You guys are so low on the totem pole of the culinary world that you don't even get to know, or nobody gets to know your name. To be able to earn someone to say your first name, you have to be one of the most prestigious chefs that we have here. And they had 20 people that they called white spoons, and they're people that are like Michelin star, they're like world renowned, they have TV shows, they have multiple restaurants. And like everyone that does like the black spoons, there's 80 of them, and they go, okay, you guys aren't competing with each other, you're going to compete against the top tier chefs that we gathered here today. And one of the chefs was like, oh, I judged a show alongside one of the current judges for this show. So it's kind of wild being a contestant, being judged by like my peer essentially. And some of the judges are like, why is he a contestant? He's like more famous than I am. So it's like pretty interesting to see, because it's clear that the people in the higher class chefs are like, oh, I know I'm the best in my land, like in my particular corner of cuisine. Yeah, like I'm a South Korean that specializes in Chinese cuisine. Nobody can beat me, otherwise like I would have heard of this person. But the people that are told you have literally no name, they're so burnt up. They're like, I have to win, and they'll do anything in their power.
They would be the anime protagonists that we'd be following,
pretty much. Some of the scenarios were very ludicrous. Like one person served his dish like it was a bibimbap bowl, but he served it on a drum cymbal, and then proceeded to tell the judge that he had to sing as he mixed up the bowl ingredients together. And the guy brought out a drum and was like drumming as he was like the judge was singing. And the guy was like, he had a reason for his whole shtick. Like, it all did, like, it comes together into a theme. But then the judge, like, shakes his hand and looks really proud and goes, "You're eliminated." And the guy was like, ugh. Like, like, the utter shock. He was just like, oh, okay. And the judge is like, on the, I think on the side interview was like, what the hell is that? Because one judge is, like, a fine dining judge who's, like, known as, like, the fine dining guy, and then the other judge is the, like, I guess the best equivalent I could think of is maybe, like, a Gordon Ramsay, where he is classically trained and he understands fine dining, but he also looks to travel a lot, try a lot of foods, and have food that tastes good and is also accessible to people. Okay. So, like, you do have, like, two, like, very different judges. But, yeah, the one that did that to him was the one that's more of the TV personality. He's like, "You're eliminated."
It reminds me of all the clips I see of Shark Tank.
Shark Tank is a different weird beast of the show.
I feel like everything that I hear from Shark Tank that gets, like, no, we're not accepting your deal, ends up being, like, a multi-million, almost $1 billion
as soon as you put "as seen on Shark Tank" on anything, like, people are like, "Oh, I want one of those."
My favorite one that I like, I don't remember his name, but he was making this, like, tree cone, and like, all the sharks were like, "Why don't you sell this for more?" And he's like, "We're selling to farmers." And, like, he was like, "No, I'm not trying to make a profit. I need help because here's a legitimate issue with crops and, like, protecting trees that farmers have. I just need help to get this off the ground."
The production, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, "No, I want this and like X million dollars and all this stuff." And he's like, "No." And he's like, "No, I can't do this." And I think one of the other sharks, like, he saw what was going on and he's like, "All right, I'll give you what you want. And it's just, let's work together." And, like, it was a much more reasonable thing, like, where he just was like, I think it was like 1 or like a couple % on that, because, like, "No, I see what you're doing. I see the good in this." And I think he also knew, he's like, "I'm not gonna make bank with this." And then it's like the dude is like, with that, is not only, like, they able to make this, like, protected. He's like, he's making all these things for farmers because of that one thing. So, like, that one he did take a deal on, and it worked out. But it's like, I see that clip every once in a while where it's just like, they're like, "Why aren't you selling this for, like," because I think he was like, "Yeah, I sell this for, like, $12. And he's like, "Why don't you sell it for, like," or no, I think they wanted to sell it for 12 rather, when he was selling it for like $8 or $5. And he's like, "Why?" And he's like,
he was just covering his production costs and then a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "It's for farmers." I don't know. Especially, this is not the podcast for it, and I can also see how long we talked about this. But it's hearing about some of the farmer stuff that's happening over the Atlantic, of some of the stuff that's happening in there. It's just like, and then a couple of videos about farmers here in America. It's like, man, there's a lot of people, myself included, that don't understand the amount of work and cost that goes into a farm.
All I know is that I learned that seed companies own the genetic rights to crops, so farmers are not allowed to regrow crops. They
Did
have
we see
to
that
keep
on the same
seeds.
TikTok?
Probably.
Was it the chicken man who was...
No, I saw a different guy.
I don't know.
I mean, Chicken Man could have also covered it.
Yeah, I don't think that was him, but I remember hearing something about that. Yeah. So. Yay. Anyway, let's talk about other people that are disregarded by the more public
society.
In Tokyo, Godfathers.
Yeah, but this is...
Segue.
Yeah, this is our segue, where we roll dice now to, rather than summarizing random TV shows that we've watched, we'll now summarize the movie that is in the title of this episode. I guess I'll go ahead and say, Yeah, we watched Tokyo Godfathers. This is our finale in the wintry anime movies. This is the only movie that was listed, hey, this is the Christmas anime movie.
I'm going to say, smart choice by us.
Yes. So we roll dice to see which one of us will give a short description of the movie. Lower number wins because we like to change the rules up because we play a lot of tabletop RPGs. And so we'll give a summary that has no spoilers. We'll go over some questions to give you some vibes and like discussions about the movie. And then we have some time to go and dive into spoilers. So you have been warned. But we will give a second warning when it's officially to that time. But for now, you're safe.
And I am very much middle of the road.
I am not. I rolled a 6 this week.
Oh. I rolled a 7. No.
Well, actually.
No, I rolled a 4. Well, actually, I rolled twice.
Cheater.
Well, I rolled a 5. I still would have won.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Tokyo Godfathers is about we follow these 3 homeless. Yeah, my brain just was like, is that the right term? But yes, 3 homeless people as they come across a abandoned child, and by child I mean baby, and they pretty much go on a mission to find a mom. I think it's
not
first,
any mom.
Yeah,
the birth mother.
Yeah, the birth mother. I felt like at first it was like find a living home, and then it a loving household, and then it kind of morphed into let's find the birth mother. But yes, it was find the birth mother of this child to return them home in the middle of the holiday season, and their adventures as it goes on. I think that's a good synopsis.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because this is a movie, like, Strider asked me about the movie because he walked in and he was like, there's a lot happening. I was like, okay, so this is the TLDR. And I was like, this movie almost feels like a D&D campaign where you're like, yes. Who's that guy? He'll come up later. Who's that guy? He'll come up later. So it's hard to give too much of a synopsis without accidentally giving away too much.
It's like, what is the point of it? Oh my goodness, it actually made sense why they're doing this. Yeah. So, but yeah, that is the synopsis that we're giving.
So questions?
Question time. So, how much did this fit in the winter season?
A+.
I was gonna give it a C. No. Yes, A+.
It was only in the winter season, and there was tons of snow, and there was mentions of Christmas. There was a Christmas play. There's Christmas music. There's Christmas lessons.
There's Christmas sermons.
Yes.
Not only was it
there's
in the winter
angel
season,
symbology throughout.
Not only was it in the Christmas season, it literally starts on Christmas Eve and ends on, I think, New Year's.
Yes.
Which, thinking about that, like, it felt like there was a lot less there was a lot less and more time that passed
at the same time. Yeah.
Hey, how much did you root for the characters?
Which ones? The 3 main characters I kept flip-flopping because it was almost like I was rooting for them and then I learned something about them and I was like, do I still root for the guy? So I guess, without jumping into things, I guess I'll give it a B-. Because there were a lot of side characters that I was like, I'm glad that you're done on the screen.
Yes.
But overall, I guess, yeah, B-.
Yeah, I would say as a core, I was rooting for them. But, like, their individual paths, I would give a B. Like, I think
as a unit?
As a
three-piece unit?
As a three-piece unit, I would give it as an A. But like the 3 main characters, they're like individual storylines. I would agree. Like some of them, I'm like, you're a dirtbag.
Yeah, one of them, I like. The 2 of them, I was like, well, okay, this is how I'll put it. The one guy, like you said, dirtbag. The youngest, I was like, I need some more context to see how we got here. And then the third one, I was like, oh, I hope you get your, like, I hope you, like, have a happy life and you fall in love and you get everything that you deserve because you're a great person.
Mama!
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a unit with their mission, A rating, and then, a B and all that. Like, so, even though, like, individual goals, not every, like, well, one was hard to root, well, not, out of the three, he was the harder one to to root for because of just like.
I agree with the reaction of the the other adult of the group, where it was like, "Wow, you said all of this. Well, you know what? I hope you get the family you deserve." And then the other character, "What happened? What's going? What did I miss?
What's happening?" I also like. Are you gonna go get your man? He's not my man. But oh man, does it have their name? Jin.
Yeah,
no,
Jin.
Hannah.
Jin's the man.
Jin's the man. Hannah's the woman, and Miyuki is the teenage daughter.
Yeah.
Not daughter, teenage, the adoptive daughter. But it's just, Hannah, like, I think like 90% of the time she was on screen, I was like just dying laughing.
She's very funny.
She was the heart of the group, and also very just had a lot of difficulties. But we'll get into that in a sec. What grade would you give the plot?
I don't know if I was just tired, but I did not see the twist coming, so I'd give it like an A minus. There are some like side plots that I know why they were put in there, but I was kind of like, okay. Like some of them I was kind of like I understand when Jin ran into the old man. I know it was supposed to be like a reflection, and it was supposed to give him another hint, but I was like, I don't want to see these teenage kids anymore. Can we like? And
we didn't.
Yeah, and then I wanted like some parts to move a little bit faster, but that I guess that's like a compliment in a way because I wanted to see how it resolved. Like some scenes, I was like, "Yes, chase. We're still chasing. But I know that's like kind of the comedy of errors of it as well that the movie lends itself towards.
These chases I stayed awake for, unlike Ghost in the Shell. It's a Ghost in the Shell. But yeah, no, I would give it an A as well. Like it almost felt like the lulls were like, okay, catch your breath, and I'll also admit I didn't see the twist coming, but then it's like. It kept going, and I'm like, no, it's done. Oh.
Yeah. But I also, we can talk about how, like, woefully incompetent her husband is, but, like, we can get to that when we get to that. Then, Dpayne, how likely would you recommend this movie to others?
I would. Yes. A.
Yeah, I would recommend this to others. I think it's one of those, again, like, kind of like the same thing with Millennium Actress. It is the same director and writer, I believe. But it's the same thing where I'm like, this is just a sit and enjoy it movie. Don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. Don't assume anything that's happening. Just, it's an adventure. Good luck. And it almost has some of the same feelings in the way that the story's told as The Night is Short, Walk On Girl. Because it's like a lot of really tiny adventures that lead up into like a big resolution. So if someone's like, I love anime, I'd be like, do you like anime for story or do you like anime for action? That's the only caveat I think this movie has.
Yeah. Oh, man, I didn't realize that he had two other ones that I'm like, that he directed, and he wasn't the writer for Perfect Blue, but he directed Perfect Blue.
I like Perfect Blue a lot.
And Paprika
is one I've been wanting to watch for a long time. Yeah, I almost put him as a director, but we already just watched 2 out of his 4 movies, and I figured, like...
I wouldn't mind watching them again. But we already have it all set. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can, if we're feeling ambitious, maybe we can have, like, a special episode of where we're watching... Like, I'll watch Perfect Blue, or maybe just watch Paprika and we can do maybe a PD mini or something if we feel ambitious.
If you want to see that, make sure to leave a review, a comment, a like, a share, follow. But say specifically, please do an extra episode because
for Paprika.
Yeah, because we have a jam-packed year next week.
Yeah, it's going to be the end of the podcast. I don't know. I don't want to joke about it, but I think that's the fastest we have ever gone through those questions.
We know our intro was long.
Yes.
And we also know that we want to talk about the movie.
Mm-hmm. But I will say, like, how likely would you recommend this movie to others? I am seriously considering about buying a physical copy of this movie.
Yeah, so going through, I'm glad I already own a physical copy of Wolf Children. And owning physical copies of Tokyo Godfathers, Millennium Actress, Night is Short, Walk on Girl. And I liked Ghost in the Shell, so I'd probably also get a physical copy of that.
I think I want to just watch it again. Mm-hmm. Like, I think I was just very tired when I went to watch it.
I mean, Ghost in the Shell definitely also has its lulls, but its lulls do feel a little bit more long-winded because, like, it's one of those, like, they're talking at you to explain what's happening in the world versus Tokyo Godfathers, where their lulls are, like, them staring at the screen going, what? Like, so I can see where Ghost in the Shell, if your brain isn't 100% there, because I also drifted. A bit when I watched it.
Yeah, Ghost in the Shell is like a Shadowrun campaign, or like Cyberpunk. Well, literally, it's like one of the main inspirations. But like, and then like, Tokyo Godfathers is, as you said, like almost,
a long list of comedy of errors.
Yeah, it is. Oh man. I guess, for some people's D&D campaigns, but
I feel like it's, so I have played D&D campaigns where the DM believes in, like, you can fail forward, and that's what Tokyo Godfathers feels like, where they constantly get something wrong, but it gives them just enough that they're like, I have a key. I found a business card.
That is something I'm trying to be better at, like failing forward, where it's like, you're not going to get everything, because I don't know, it's just one of those things where I'm like, I guess especially as doing it as a show, most of my games are shows where it's just like, okay, you failed the check, which is another thing, like, I try to do a lot less of like, put a big story element behind a check, where it's just like, no. I do this in Call of Cthulhu, where it's just like failing forward will give you some information, but it's not going to give you all the information. That's pretty much what Call of Cthulhu is, failing forward.
It's hard to succeed in Call of Cthulhu as well. But, I mean, I've also been playing a lot of Mothership with my group, and Mothership feels similar. There's a lot less rolling in Mothership, but it's definitely a sci-fi where you're like, I want to do the thing, and you're like, it's really hard to do the thing, but you can certainly try. Oh, no, it went wrong, but the door opened, but you took damage.
Yeah, that's, I just realized, mainly because I got a message about it today, that next Thursday, which by the time this comes out, it would already happened, is I'm actually going on a show where they're going to interview me as a DM, keeper, GM person.
Wow.
It's the same one I think I mentioned earlier, where I was like part of a show where there was like, we're interviewing you as a streamer. And it's like, I never been interviewed as a streamer. Normally everybody wants to talk to Hop.
Don't forget to plug them when the things are getting released and things like that.
Yep.
Always be plugging.
So, brain died. But yeah, it's, I thought I dropped something there.
Did you drop the timer for Spoiler Town?
I'm about to. Right now, I'm going to hit... Oh, man. It'd be fun to make merch for Spoiler Town.
But in any case, you all are... This is your official warning. If you want to watch this movie and don't want spoilers, pause and come back after you finish the movie.
I just also had another thought. It was just like, if we... For next year, for the whole thing, if we came up with new art, and when we go to Spoiler Town, it's like almost like the Persona thing, where it's like, and it has like weird like town like skyscrapers that show up, and then it just like
spoilers in the GTA font instead of wasted.
Or the like Dark Souls, Elden Ring. Spoiler town. All right. Well, I'm gonna start the timer in 3, 2, 1. Started. Well, I think I already shared who my favorite person was.
Yeah, Hana is a fantastic character. Did you watch it in English or Japanese?
Japanese.
Were your subtitles also using a slur?
Yes.
Okay, that was a lot. I turned it on at 11:30 and like so I have like a little advent calendar thing of like doing stuff you've been procrastinating on, and I made a list of things that like rather than
my brain the way you said that I was like, why is your advent calendar about what I'm procrastinating on?
But I saw this idea online, and then instead of buying like advent calendar retreats, because like a lot of those times those things kind of like suck because you know it's for profit, I made a list of like nice things to do for myself, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch Tokyo Godfathers if I do the thing that I've been procrastinating on. I think yesterday's was answering an email I've been avoiding. And then I was like, I got a free face mask from Small Business Saturday. I'll just put on the face mask, watch Tokyo Godfathers. So I was like, oh, I'm cozy. I have this face mask. I've got like a hot like beverage next to me. And then I see the slur, and I was like, oh. And it was like a lot. Like in the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because when did I watch this? I think I watched it on Saturday, and then like immediately had to leave because I was like, oh, Hop's gonna. I'm like, I should mention something to Hop, and then I immediately had to leave.
It's fine. Like
I just know when I watch those before, like I like to give you the heads up, and just
the bigger thing I just mind is if I should be prepared for any kind of animals. But that's a bigger problem when we were watching like A24 because there was like horror adjacent stuff. But yeah, I was like, okay. Maybe they'll chill out. And they did chill out eventually. Yeah. It just felt like it took a really long time.
Yeah, it was just more like boom, 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 boom.
And I'm just like, who do you think you are? And I was like, they're a person. That's what they are. Stop using the word.
When did this movie come out? 2003. Okay.
Yeah. Call of Duty lobbies. So anyone, well, I guess we should have put this not in the spoiler section to warn people of language that may be triggering, but you have been
yeah.
I will say though, one of my favorite jokes is in the very beginning.
Eating for two.
Yes, or very early, where they're talking about like their gender dysmorphia and how they view themselves as a woman, and everybody else around them is kind of like, oh, shut up. But then the soup kitchen worker is like, this is all you get, and they're like, what if I'm eating for two? Huh? But like switches into their like more masculine voice, and then they're carrying the baby and the workers on the escalator.
He was eating for two.
And I was like, that's a good joke. Joke.
That was such a good callback. I'm like, I was literally about to say that as well. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know when this movie takes place.
There's no cell phones. Or, well, there is... Only the richest person has the cell... No, did he have a cell phone?
I don't think so.
The one getting married to the guy's daughter? Because he was on the phone... I can't remember if it was a cell phone or if someone was like, sir, you're getting a call, and gave him a wireless phone.
I think that's... Let's see. Maybe my anime list will say something. It's not clear, but I could see this kind of be set in the 80s, like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, they had colored television, and they had I'm trying to think of what else they had that kind of clued it to be more modern. The way that like their photos were printed as well gave me like drugstore like 4x8 feeling. So like when as a kid you go to the Rite Aid and you go, I have a roll of film. Please print.
Yeah, I'm just because he was inspired by an American film, The Three Godfathers, which it looks like a Western. That's pretty much, it's a John Wayne.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm just scrolling through to see if there was any indication
Oh, I will say I appreciate that the credits were animated in.
Yes.
That was fun.
The little boop, boop. Oh yeah, the opening credit. That was something else. I didn't keep notes, but I'm just like, that is great. Of just,
yeah, I like when the truck pulls up and they're like, they kept saying Satoshi Kon, and I was like, good for him.
And like the different signs. So I guess for people, just to explain a little bit better, is that in case you guys don't care about spoilers, there's the opening scenes. Like, it gives a little bit of opening at the soup kitchen, and I think the church,
and then the church play.
Yeah, and then I think and then they get Miyuki, and then it from there, or it's before they get Miyuki. They have like a scene of them like kind of going to meet. It's before they get to Miyuki, because she's at one of the billboards that says the name. So like,
where she's spitting on people.
Yeah, so there's billboards, trucks, and just like all, and like business signs that are
like
the directors, yeah, like the heads of the departments of putting this movie together, and it's like their names and what they did are in the environment, which is awesome. I really liked that.
Yeah, and they're yeah, and I liked that the movie, I feel like, didn't try to pity anybody. I guess is how you could say it. Because when it started, I thought that it was going to end up being, like, anti-Hana and, like, ostracize her. Because in the beginning, they use slurs and everything. And I was like, oh no, is this going to be a movie where they, like, chastise people on their life choices? And then I was also worried it would be like, we have to pity the homeless and blah, blah, blah. But I think it did a really great job of balancing out, like, kind of like, poverty sucks, but rich people suck. But being middle class also sucks. It all frickin' sucks.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Because the way they, like, I don't agree with the Wikipedia how they, because depending on the time, I don't think Hana they wrote her as a transgender woman. And like, I'm blanking on the term, because there was older mangas that I would read, and it was reminding me of that stuff where Hana's, I forget the term they use, but it's like they weren't transgender. They were men that dressed like women. They had a term.
Historically, through Japan, they have all sorts of things. I recently listened to the nonfiction book. It's called Before We Were Trans, and the author tried to collect stories over time where, like, trans history can get really messy, because in some cultures they did do like that, where like Shakespeare didn't have female actors for a long time.
Yes.
So not all of the actors were trans, but some actors did find that they preferred women's dress and then lived outside of the playhouse as that. But some people will just be like, well, Shakespeare just didn't have women actors, that's why they were like that. It's like, both can be true. There could be some trans, and there could be some that just acted for the stage play.
Yeah.
So Japan historically had a phrase for people that were either they worked in the equivalent of a brothel and they were more effeminate and things like that. So there's a phrase for that. There is a phrase for people that were in between genders. Then there's also a phrase for, there's a third one, if I remember correctly, because of course it changes every decade or so. In my opinion, I would say Hana, given how she talks about how she wishes that she could have children, I think trans is an okay term to use, because she does specify, like, I wish I could give birth to children. I see myself as a woman, versus just prefer, like, I don't think she seems like, what's the term? I don't think she's like non-binary or genderqueer or anything like that. I don't know if it's released in 2003, trans might be the best term as well.
I know that, because I remember reading, like, because it felt like the vibe fit in, like, mangas that I read that were, like, in the 80s, and, like, kind of, like, the bar that they had and everything, and just, like, the humor Hana had, where it was, like, people would be, like, calling her, like, all these, like derogatory terms and everything, and it didn't bother him, but it would be like the one word that just like, what was it, fart? I think it was.
Yeah,
and just,
fart
like,
upset her.
And it was like, that was like the switch that like in her brain that was just like,
you
that's
can
it.
call me crap and you can call me shit, but you can't call me fart.
Yeah. And so there's like that, I've read mangas where it was just that it was like that kind of theme where it's just like their friends were like, oh no, like it's like, oh, is she gonna have a problem with this? And it's like, no, whatever. And back when these were drawn, it was like very like it was very obvious that it was like a man, like, or at least male presenting, but it was like, no, I'm a woman. And it's just like, but it was just like, oh no, I don't care what you call me, I've been called these things my whole life.
Yeah.
But it's like the one thing is just like, how dare you? And so
I have more decency than that. But yeah, like, again, without the directors explicitly having said it, I can't say for sure, but I think from the earlier scenes, I think that's an okay term.
Yeah.
Because there's also the possibility that she just did drag but didn't identify as a woman, but it seems like the other people in the bar might have fit more closely to that than she did.
Yeah, it's I'm blanking on the term because I remember there was something that I remember in like some of the comments that they gave, that's what they called like how Hannah was, I guess, in that time period, but I'm totally blanking on it, but honestly it's not that important.
What's important is Hannah is a strong, independent woman that just wants some love.
And will beat everybody up to get it now. Yeah. I do like how it's just like pretty much how everyone interacted. Like I like how these three, like, on the surface it just seems like, okay, they're just hanging out with each other to get food or whatever on there, but then as we kind of the story progresses, it's like, no, Jin or Gin, how you pronounce his name, and is like, yeah, he's got his problems, and he's like, the more you learn, it's like, oh, you're a terrible person. But it's just like, once, like, even though he has his outbursts and stuff, he, like, there's still that, like, even though he runs away from responsibility a lot, there's still, yes, a lot. But it seems like there's these moments where he's like, he realizes like, okay, Hana is like, it's the only person that really like will take that, like, they give the whole story of the red and blue Oni, and it's just like, when it's like it kind of clicks, it's like, oh, she's the only person that was like, in everything is willing to like sacrifice, yeah, and everything, which I thought that was pretty neat. But then it's just, I also like how everyone, I forget if they said it's just like when they were talking to Miyuki, and it's just like, no one's gonna mess with you because they know Hana's gonna come after them. And it's just like, Hana looks at you as your, like, that you're her own daughter, I think it was.
Yeah, and then Gin also does, because
yeah,
he has his own regrets. Because, yeah, there was the one time Miyuki was sitting there reading a book, and they're like, oh, you're with that group? Yeah, we're not. Just don't tell him you found us. Don't tell him you saw us. And Miyuki's like, what's wrong with him? Like, he's just a guy. He's just an old man. But, yeah, like, I do like, it does, the movie does, I think, do a great job about, like, kind of covering the feeling of found family, especially because, like you said, kind of like as a unit, they're kind of awkward and they don't make sense, and it almost feels like they're only with each other out of convenience, given their circumstances. But then as you, each of their backstories, they're like, oh, I was looking for this figure in my life, and you can be that person for me. Mm-hmm. So, like, Gin's looking for, unfortunately, a replacement for his daughter. Hana is looking for a family because she never felt like she got to have one. And then Miyuki is looking for a father figure because she stabbed hers.
He got better.
Clearly. Yeah, like, I did think it was interesting when they were on the train and they got stuck in the snow and she looks across the way and she's just like, I have to leave. And they're like, you dropped the formula. And she was like, yeah, I get it. It's my fault.
Yeah.
Very teenager of her.
I like how it goes from her perspective where you just hear Jin and Hana just like just old couple arguing while everyone in the train's just like, oh my gosh, it smells so bad in here because of you guys. And they're all like, oh my goodness, the baby won't stop crying. What are we going to do? And it's just like, we go to Miyuki and she's like, she is having a panic attack because her dad's over there. But at that point, we don't know it's her dad.
Who he is, yeah.
And it's because he almost like looks like a Yakuza.
I thought he looked a little similar to the husband they were looking for too in the photo. So
yeah.
I was like, but the guy doesn't have a mole, so who is this?
I can see, yeah. It was just one of those things where it's just like, I gotta go, and jumps out the window, and then I'm like, are they gonna jump out? And then it just cuts to Jin's like, well, there went all that money for nothing. And then it's just another, like, just clear picture of them where they're just like, it's like, Hana's like, okay, well, let's sing. And it just starts singing. Was it Silent Night?
I think part of it.
Yeah. And then it's just like, stop singing, you're going to get hungry later. And then it's just like, foolishness. And then she's just like, it cuts forward, I'm dying. Take the child. And everything. Yeah, it's the Hana pretty much says something to the baby, and it's just like, you are blessed by God, and God doesn't want you to die, because like they find the baby formula in the graveyard, and they're like,
there's a lot of instances the baby should have been in terrible danger, especially
yes.
the end of the movie, and the angels looked favorably upon the baby. I think the other favorite scene I had, speaking of that, is when the person that works at the bar appears, and Gin is like, oh, I'm dead. I'm going to whichever place it is. Yes. That's an angel. And she's like, all right, would you prefer my magic, or what was the other option?
Wasn't it death or like my healing love or something like that?
Yeah, and he picked like, the negative one.
He's like, die. He's like, really? Yeah, because that was a fun thing where like they get all confused and everything. I think one of my favorite parts of baby protection was when they're in the convenience store and they're just like, can you leave? You guys, and it's like, you're kicking us out. And they start making a big fuss and everything. And
oh, the ambulance.
The ambulance, you just hear it. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, right through there. And the guy just walks out just like,
can you call
an ambulance? It's just like so nonchalant. Everyone's like, oh my goodness. And Hana's like, you are blessed.
Yeah, but I realize that we are pushing time, so let me try and think of something else that is I did not want Gin to have a happy ending after he revealed that he was exactly like the husband of the
baby
woman they're looking for. That's how I'll phrase it. The woman that they're looking for. Because when he goes into the apartment and he's like, you don't want to turn out like me. And the guy's like, I'm not gonna. I won the lottery. Which was also like, it was funny because his tickets were 1111 and he won the lottery on that. I'm like, wow, he really is a terrible guy. But also for him to be so dense where he tells the main character, he's like, oh, she just said she's gonna go to be with her baby. He's like, oh my god, she's gonna kill herself. He's like, no, she's gonna look for the baby. I was like, wow. Why hasn't she divorced him yet?
Well, she's kind of divorcing him from life with what she wanted to do.
She kept trying. Yes,
yeah. And so, there was. Yeah, I thought it was interesting how we got snippets of Jin's story, and you're just like, your stories aren't matching up there, buddy. And it's not like they just call him out on it too. It's not like the characters are dumb. And just like, wait a second, I thought you said you were a bike racer. No, I was
at the track all the time. And they're like, you're a gambler. And he's like, well, I mean.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, and it's just the piecemeal that we get of his story is just like, at first it's like, oh man, that sucks, like that happened. And then you get the closer variation, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you get
and he slips up at times where he's like, man, I wish I could see my daughter. And Hana's like, the dead daughter?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, my wife, I'm sure she's remarried. The dead one?
Yeah. And so it's like, I like how the characters aren't stupid, where they're just like, no, we're calling you out on this. And then, like, I don't know, all three characters felt really grounded, where it's just of like who they, like, you, it felt like after the first like 20 minutes of interacting with these characters, you knew who they were. And then you really got to like learn their story. Like even Miyuki's story of just and like it's just like, really, you stabbed your dad because your cat disappeared.
I feel it.
Well,
I would do the same thing.
Well, and then we learned that, and then it's like the next scene or something like that, when they finally get to the house that burnt down. They're in the one place, and it's just like Jin's like, well, we could eat the cat, and like Miyuki's like, no, and she just has the army of cats around her. And
I do also like that. I wanted to look up actually if what like meanings behind the name Kyoko are in Japanese, because like I know they mentioned it in the beginning. Okay, like pure, clean, things like that, like a pure child. Because every time they ran into a new woman, they're like, "Hi, I'm Kyoko," and they're like, "Oh, okay, hi," because that's the name of the daughter of the first guy that they save, who like was also a terrible guy, and then also his actual daughter's name. Yes. And then I was curious to know if maybe the cat's name was also semi-related, because the cat's name was Angel, so I was curious if Miyuki's thing, but not necessarily. But yeah, like the whole scene too of their first mishap, where they on one hand get a stroke of good luck and also a stroke of bad luck at the same time, is them saving this guy who didn't put his car brakes on when his car got stuck.
It's so funny. Because it's just like, I was pushing there, and then it's just like the person walking her dog slips and pushes the car on top of them. Because aren't they like, who would park their car here? Who's such an inconsiderate? And then it's just, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and they get paid well for it, and they get to go to a lavish party, but then they see a whole bunch of bad things.
To where Gin starts slipping up, because it's like he blames that guy who, and that was funny. That was also interesting, because he's like, I'm going to beat this guy with the wine bottle, but in doing that, he dodged, and it made him look like he took the bullet for the Yakuza boss. And I like how later we learned that he's okay, and he's like, he should have died.
Like, I don't wish a man to die, but
but it's like, I ain't happy. I don't need to be happy about it. And then so there, and
then him finding out his daughter's marrying a really old guy. He's like, I failed as a father.
It's like, no, you failed as a father a long time ago, buddy. But yeah, and then it's like you learn, like just like when like the truth comes out, and like Hana and Miyuki are literally there, and like Miyuki's just not paying attention. I think she's holding Kyoko at that point, and then that's when Hana freaks
Loses
out,
it, yeah.
Which rightfully so. But I'm like, okay, you did like, and Gen's just like, okay, and
Kyoko's like, the adult Kyoko's like, what is she yelling about? He's like, don't
worry about it. But
I also like the bit that they did where like a lot of information is given to you almost tangentially, because there's TVs on all the time, and the characters are kind of like, that's weird, and then either pursue it or it ends up coming up later. I also do love the bit when Hana was in the cab and using that guy, and it's like, because Miyuki's like, oh, I bet you love Gin, and Hana's like, no, I love a tanned guy who drives and has an accent. He's like freaking out. And then she still gets him to like do a high-speed car chase, and he's like, I'm gonna die, and he's standing near his crashed car. He's like, they went that way.
Yeah. And then he shows up again, like just constantly. He's like, worst day of it. Like, he could have his own series.
Yeah, of being dragged into these mishaps. And then I also like when Miyuki first called Hana out on liking Gin when they thought Gin died, because they went, oh, it's an old homeless guy. He was beat up by children. She runs up to the tarp and is crying and is like, ew, who is that?
Yeah, just like, ooh. It was like,
and Miyuki's like, you don't have a crush on him, I see.
And he's like, shut up. But, oh man, yeah, it's. If Hana wasn't written the way she was, this movie wouldn't, like, if it was just another homeless person,
it'd be too heavy of a...
Yeah, it was just... Hana was the friend that neither one of those two deserved.
She's such a good person.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I thought was, like, a really nice touch to the ending is that they all can recognize the babies cry over other babies. Mm-hmm. Because even though the entire neighborhood had all the babies crying at once, they were like, not you, not you, not you. Sorry to scare you, that baby was wearing pink. Not you.
Yeah. Oh, I love them when it's just like, we just see the baby dressed in pink, and then all of a sudden it's like, it makes it feel like it's
the kid.
That I'm blanking on the name, Kyoko. And it's just, you see Hannah's face like pop up, like, oh, everyone's like, oh, and it's like, sorry, wrong baby. And and it also cracked me up, like, whenever like as I just keep going back, every time Hannah had to run and it's just like was running there, and then it was like, okay, I gotta like kind of like what the people who wear Crocs, like, I gotta put it in sports mode. It was just like she would run like she was all proper, and all of a sudden it was like, nope. And then but yeah, we have 3 minutes left, but I think one thing I think I like the ending of this. I do. I like how we have the main story end, but the individual stories, we don't have closure.
Oh yeah, the very ending where they're like, we're here to report, and then the pause.
Yeah, and they're just like, you gotta jump out of another window. But yeah, it's no, I really liked that, where it's just like, it really drove home. It's like, their stories were like the flavor. However these end isn't important. The main like crux of the story was showing, like, pretty much get baby home to parents. Which, I don't even think we said the twist. Whatever, you guys can find out the twist on your own. Because we got 2 minutes left.
I kind of hinted towards it about the whole husband being inept and going, what do you mean she's gonna jump off a bridge?
Yeah, and I don't know. And then what was it? Because the husband's like, I forgive you. It's like, okay, good first step.
Too little,
really,
too late.
A little too late, and then it was like Hannah falling down, like, just grabbing the thing, and it was almost like an angel just falling down from the sky as the whole crowd goes quiet.
The whole
and he's just like,
the constant gasps and like breaths of relief.
When I was watching that, and as it goes silent, the first thing popped in my head was like the tune of It's Always Sunny with Dayman. It was just like, first I was a child, but now I am a man. Just like that was the like tune that was playing in my head, just like as Hana was floating down. But no, I really enjoy the ending, where it's just Jin never sees the bag that the old drunkard gave him was filled with money. Mm-hmm. Hana's just glad to be with everybody, it feels like, and Miyuki
is forced to face her past.
It's like there's no way she can go, but it's just like it could have gone for like another 30 minutes just figuring that out, but I'm like, no, like I felt like it was just okay, like everyone who it does hint at the end where, like, near the end where what was it? It's just like Jin says like a parent
never forgets
their kid, and Hannah says, and a kid always yearns for the love of their parent or something along the lines of that. And it's like they're saying that while she's sitting at a payphone trying to call home, and just doesn't. She can't, because at that point
the dad's even like, I know it's you, and she's like, whoop,
not anymore, bye. But yeah, it's because I think that's when shortly after she sees the ad in the paper of Angel saying that the cat came home.
Like
it's like,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can you please come home? And yeah, it's I do like how it's very unclear about her whole story, like if it was like an accident that the cat was let out, or
they tried to get rid of
it. Like I do like how it's very adolescent vagueness of just, here's the big problem.
She jumped to a conclusion.
Yeah. And took an action. So,
she did. I know. I like how, I think it was also very cute. I know we're running way over time.
Yeah,
I'll stop after this one.
The timer just ended, so.
Okay. I also thought it was really cute that the time that she got to confide in somebody is someone who could barely understand her. So she had like literally no pressure. Like she could be like, I stabbed my dad, and cry, and the person that she's talking to is like, Father Policeman. It's like,
yes, Padre. And so, yeah, and that's a whole nother part that was just nice, like another good part. And there's a lot in this movie that I'm pretty sure if we didn't spend so much time talking about other stuff in the Chinese dramas and all that stuff, but no,
I feel like a movie about character growth and unlikely friendships.
Yes,
there we go.
I'm really glad that the way it worked out, that not only was this the most Christmas and wintry movie, but it was also, I think, the best, the most, at least in my opinion, one of the more enjoyable. It was one of the higher end ones. Like all the movies we watched were good, but like, hold on, let me bring up the list and blare out my glasses again. Like looking at them all, like I think we mentioned it, like the ones that I know I would want to watch again is like Tokyo Godfathers, The Night is Short, Walk On Girl. I think those I would love, and Millennial Actress. Those three movies I would love to get like a physical copies of out of all of these again. And then I wouldn't mind watching Wolf Children again. Ghost in the Shell I want to watch again when I'm a little bit more aware. And Whispers of the Heart I think was also fun, but I think I would only want to watch that at maybe 5 centimeters per second, like if there was somebody who never watched it before.
Yeah, like they're a little bit more like, once you've watched them, I don't think there's more to gain from them after the fact. That makes sense.
Oh, you're sending me links to buy them.
Hey, it was on sale.
So yeah, and then Time of Eve was fun. It's just I'm much more interested in the politics and the setup of that world than what was actually shown. But,
what was provided. Yeah.
So like I would like to see more of that world, but I don't think we would. But I don't know. What about you? Or are you?
I think I kind of listed which ones I would like to have on physical media already. I mean,
I couldn't remember if that was recorded or not because we did. Even though this is like
a while.
Yeah, it is like a normal episode length, but it just like Tokyo Godfathers, it feels longer, like in a good way, than it actually is.
Movies. Again, I just happen to see it's on sale.
Well, while Hop is sending me links, I'm gonna announce what we're doing next week for you guys. I don't actually know when we're recording this. I know you just threw in a date. Oh yeah, for us. Well, actually, it's closer. It's enough time for us to finish our toxic
speed
recommendation. Run. Yeah. Well, it's very much what I did last year too. But for a couple books.
Yeah, because you've got to speed run one book that you might put in the sci-fi.
Mm-hmm. Which it's the end of the year. I know last year we did it at the beginning, but we have a really fun 2025 plan. That should be, which we'll talk about next week. But something that we like to do, which we did a mini series on this, was like I forget what we called it, but we did book stuff. But this time we're doing the end of the year book recap of books that we've read. And I don't know, Hop and I were just chatting about it, and we're like, yeah, we want to do this regularly. So like we're just starting a tradition of however long this podcast goes for. We made the joke of the podcast will keep going until we run out of ideas. And
there are infinite movies, so you're stuck with us.
Yeah, infinite movies, and well, even more ideas that we have
and even more books.
Yes. I would not be surprised if we get burned out on movies and we're just going to be a book podcast. But yeah, we're going to be doing a book episode of we have here well, no, I'm not going to go over the genres, but we have a handful of genres that we're going to be filling in, and then our all-time favorite of the year. And we're just going to talk about it and kind of give pitches and stuff. It's kind of very similar if you listen to the Weird Prompt
special
book
episode.
Story. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't have prompts. It's just genre. So, yeah. So that will be for next week, and it's now 10:30, and I'm hungry. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching. As we mentioned earlier, if you enjoyed this series and you would like us to do, I don't know, maybe in the future another anime kind of themes thing. I don't think it'll be another winter one because the movies we chose.
We've kind of exhausted the list.
Yeah. But yeah.
Golden Week would be easier to find movies for.
And robots. More than meets
anything,
the eye.
and the things involving cherry blossoms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could watch another one of those. But if you guys enjoyed the anime series, let us know in the comments and stuff. And if you guys, as we said earlier, if you guys want us to do a PD mini on
other
Paprika.
Yeah.
Is that what it was called?
Paprika is one and Perfect Blue is the other one.
Yeah. So, yeah, more of whatever his name was.
Satoshi Kon.
Yes. Yeah, Satoshi Kon. In my head, that sounded like a convention.
Because Kon.
Yeah.
You've just got convention brain for this weekend.
But yeah, if you guys want to hear PD mini episodes on that, let us know, and we will try to fit it in the very crazy schedule that we have coming up next year. I don't know. It's possible. It will be callbacks to the bracket days. But anyway, thank you everyone for listening, and I hope you all have a good Christmas, and we'll see you before the New Year. So until next time, bye-bye.